Biggie blew up overnight. You have no origins for what rap planet this guy came from.
All right, that's Diddy in the new Netflix documentary on the life and career of the Notorious B.I.G. The film, titled Biggie, I Got a Story to Tell, details his journey from a hustler to a rap king.
And it was 24 years ago today that Biggie, whose real name was Christopher Wallace, was gunned down here in Los Angeles. He was just 24 years old when he died.
Yeah, very young. Our Juan Fernandez was one of the first reporters on the scene. And this morning, we go back to the night that rocked the world of hip-hop.
Well, it was a Sunday. I had just come in to work and I was assigned to a shooting that had happened in the Mid-Wilshire district. And all the information we had at the time is it was a shooting outside an industry party. It was a Vibe magazine party after the Soul Train Awards. We show up there to Wilshire in Fairfax, and one thing I realized right away was the enormous amount of police. Now, this is hours later.
The party was still going on when the shooting took place. Witnesses say Biggie Smalls was inside his car when someone pulled up and started firing.
We show up there to Wilshire in Fairfax, and one thing I realized right away was the enormous amount of police. The shooting happened around 12:30 that morning. I come in around 11 a.m. By the time we got out there, it was almost 12 hours later. Something led me to believe that this was a lot bigger than just an average drive-by shooting. And it wasn't until hours later that we did find out that it was Notorious B.I.G. who was inside this Suburban, who had left the party and was heading home or somewhere else. B.I.G. and his security detail had left the Peterson Auto Museum, leaving their garage, and they made a right-hand turn heading northbound on Fairfax Avenue. The traffic light there at Wilshire and Fairfax was red. And later we found out that the driver was told to just blow the light, get out of here. There's a lot of people on the street, but the driver didn't do that. And seconds later, there was the shooting that took Biggie's life there in the Mid-Wilshire district.
Biggie was going to his car, and we heard the shots rang out. Everyone started running, but at the time we didn't know that it was Biggie that got shot.
As the evening progressed, word quickly spread. This was in a time before social media. This was in a time before you could quickly get some information out. I mean, this was much bigger than I had ever anticipated going into work that day. What's crazy about this crime in particular, mostly there's some sort of resolution. Even years later, you find out who indeed was responsible for this crime. But something that's always kept me attached to this story in one way or another, when it makes a headline, I want to read it, is just the fact that nobody really knew who killed Biggie. And here we are 24 years later, and we still don't know exactly who killed him. A lot of the players involved, whether they're investigators or possible suspects or persons of interest, they've passed away or retired. So, you know, a lot of this is basically a cold case. This is a story I think a lot of people still have on their minds. He's still mentioned at award shows. He's still very much part of the hip-hop community, even though he's been gone now 24 years. In fact, he'd be 48 years old today.
Yeah, he most certainly would be 48 years old. And Suzanne, I do want to point out that the LAPD did get back with me early this morning, only to say that the unsolved case remains an open investigation. But it's still hard to believe that no one has been charged with his murder.
But incredible story, and just looking back at the time, I remember how big it got. And Juan pointing out there was no social media, but we all knew when Biggie was shot because it was wall-to-wall coverage on the news.
Yeah,
you just turned on your TV.
Yeah. And I do want to say a quick thank you to Rich Alvarez, the editor there. We have some amazing talent here, and also thanks to Juan for allowing me to produce this piece. Thank you guys, we appreciate it.